Here I have a piece of maple with fiddleback or curly figure in it. The grain is still the same as my pencil, so there's mixed grain around the outside, and normally on a platter this surface here would be just side grain. Now this is side grain, but it's compressed side grain, and what I mean by that is that instead of running perfectly straight, the fibers are compressed like an S. And what that means is there's some end grain coming up at certain points. And as you can see, as this was planed on a surface planer, the figure was pulled out in certain places, and therefore similar problems will happen when you're cutting across the surface with a bowl gouge, and it may need a bottom bowl gouge with a low angle to be able to cut across the surface without pulling at the fibers. So this is another grain formation. You can also get quilted or blistering, and that is very similar figure formation, just in smaller eye kind of pockets rather than across the piece in longer strands. We can clearly see that it's not exactly straight grain, and it shouldn't be treated as end grain per se, but it has to be treated with a little bit more of a low cutting angle, probably a 50, 55 degrees rather than a 40, and a bottom bowl gouge across the face to clean this up. We can now see a piece with eyes and sapwood. And this is a burl. This is a eucalypt burl from Australia, so it's very dense. And this was a growth that grew on the side of a tree, was chainsawn off, so we can see the eye formation on the outside. So it's a burl cap. And this piece has to be treated on the face almost as end grain. So cutting across here, we don't want any cutting edge pointing uphill at this surface. If we have any edge coming uphill, pointing at this, it's going to draw it in like end grain and grab the piece, because these are the ends of the eyes. And on this particular material, it's very well suited to negative rake scraping for the final cut, because the grain is so wild that even the best gouge cut will probably still lift some of the fibers out. Negative rake scraping will clear those off, and because it's dense, it's very suited to negative rake scraping. Same with the outside, treated like end grain. So when we're cutting around the outside, we've got to think of it as the grain running like a spindle blank in this direction. So we never want to be cutting up into the eyes. It's going to be grabbing. We want to be cutting towards the center like a spindle blank to form the shape on this.